Hey, in this video, we're going to talk about kind of a twisted topic here. How to get all of your stuff ready to die. No, wait, let me rephrase that. How to get ready to die and make sure you don't leave a mess online. Something you really need to think about. Stick with me, I got some tips on it. All right, so one of the things that can be really tricky in our line of work is, well, a couple of things can happen. There can be a big events, I would just call them transitional events. So your company may sell and there's a transition of ownership, but sometimes tragedy strikes and there's a mess to clean up. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But in general, it's really important to think about all of your digital assets and digital real estate and frame it in a way that there is some sort of continuity plan. And I only know how ugly this can get because we've had to help some people do some cleanups when things weren't well organized. And I'm sure many of you watching this may suddenly realize, thinking just for a minute now, what would happen if, you were sort of taken out of the game here in some sort of tragedy? Do people have access to your accounts? Could people get into your profiles, your website, your cloud folders, your social media accounts, and all these things? Like, how would anybody deal with that, right? That's a tricky one. And for some of us, that can be, hundreds of items, right? Slack accounts, chat accounts, Gmail, multiple email accounts, multiple social media platforms, YouTube channels, bank accounts, logins, and passwords. So it can be tricky. And, we have some tools that can make it a little bit easier, like, depending on where you're at with security and things, you may have passwords stored in your browser. You may have passwords stored in your iCloud account. That's another thing. But how would somebody get into that, right? Could they use Face Unlock, or could they get into get into those things? So it's a little tricky, but here's the rule of thumb that we like to use from a professional standpoint. So as it relates to business assets, and that's where we're going to kind of try to keep this conversation today, it's my belief that there should be triple coverage on all critical business digital assets. So that would include the business's social media accounts, website access, cloud folders, and relevant documents and all of those things. There should be triple access. So usually the way that looks for us is the owner of the company, some sort of designated person that's on their side of the fence, could be spouse, relative, significant other, business partner, whatever, somebody like that. And then kind of a neutral third party, and we act this way for many clients, where on our agency side, we also have access to a lot of those things and could unlock them or help in transition, right? So almost like a fiduciary role as it relates to those, to those assets. So those are things to think about. Now, there's some cool tools you can use to help with some of that. Like in Google Workspace, there are groups which we use oftentimes as a collaborative inbox and set those as the identity emails for a lot of accounts, so that multiple people can be part of those groups and recover passwords, right? Password recovery is so important, but how do you do it if you can't even get into the email that the password is being sent to? And I know some of you have been in that situation before because I hear about it all the time. So collaborative inboxes is a great tool. You can put 3 people on the ownership side of that inbox. If one of them, is out of the game for whatever reason, sickness, illness, or something like that, or just on vacation, the other two could recover a password very easily because they have access to that inbox, right? So that could read something like social@zachgreenfield.com. And I could use that email for all my social media accounts. And then I could put, my partner, my team on that group. If something happens to me, easy for them to recover the password, get access to the accounts. And, again, it's all about continuity, right? Does the business go on, or what is the succession plan that you have? So these are real concerns. On a most basic level, at least put together a spreadsheet or some sort of document that's in a safe, or that another, trusted party has access to, that's updated and current, so that if anything happens to you, your business doesn't go dark because everything is locked up for weeks. And some of these can be very difficult to recover without, a lot of legal work and other expenses, and frankly, just time lags, where customers and other people may be waiting for updates and communication, and the whole thing is just, kind of cycling down. So avoid that by getting ready to die now. And let me tell you something, you will feel at peace and you will sleep really great knowing that you're not leaving a mess for anyone, as nobody likes that. The best thing to do is leave everybody organized with clear instructions. So go ahead and think about that as you build out your business digital assets. Make sure that you've got yourself covered if anything tragic happens, or, might not be that big of a deal, but it just is worth the effort with all the money you're spending and the investment and time that you're making to be prepared and make sure that somebody is there to pick up where you left off in the case that something happens. So not the brightest topic today, but just as important as a lot of our other stuff. Go ahead and like the video, because it's probably something we all could do a better job with, keeping our house in order. Subscribe to the channel, and we will see you on the next one.